Don't waste your time looking back. You're not going that way. My friends, let that sink in for a second. Because right now, some of you are stuck staring at the door that closed, hoping, praying, begging in silence that it will swing open again. You sit there refreshing your phone, scrolling old texts, replaying old moments in your head, as if somewhere in those memories is the secret key that will make them come back. But here's the truth most men don't want to admit. It's not them you're chasing. It's the feeling you had when they were around. That rush, that warmth, that validation. And you've convinced yourself that without them, you'll never feel it again. That, my friends, is the lie. Before we go deeper, do me a favor. Press that like button, hit subscribe, and stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share might just shift the way you see yourself forever. And trust me, you don't want to miss this. Hey folks, imagine this. You're standing at a bus stop, waiting. It's pouring rain, no umbrella, no shelter, and the bus you're waiting for is already late. You keep checking your watch, scanning the street, convincing yourself that any second now, those headlights will appear. But what if that bus isn't even on the route anymore? What if it's never coming? The more you stand there, the wetter, colder, and more drained you get. That's what waiting for someone who left feels like. You're trapped in place, drenched in uncertainty, wasting time while the rest of the world keeps moving. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Yet what do most men do? They hand over their minds, they hand over their peace, their energy, their nights of sleep, all to someone who isn't even there. My friends, that's not love. That's self-abandonment dressed up as loyalty. And I know some of you right now are arguing in your head, but what if they come back? What if I just hold on a little longer? Let me break it to you. If they come back, it won't be because you sat there drowning in your own patience. It will be because you finally stopped waiting and started living. Think about it this way. A flame never chases the moth. It burns, it glows, it radiates, and the moth is drawn in. But what happens when you kill your own fire waiting for someone to notice? You're left cold, empty, invisible. That's why your first responsibility isn't to them. It's to your fire, to your glow, to the life that only you can build. Some of you think silence is weakness. You think not texting, not chasing, not proving your worth somehow makes you look cold or uncaring. But in reality, silence is one of the loudest statements you'll ever make. Silence says, "I know my value. I don't need to audition for love. I don't need to beg for attention." That silence doesn't just echo in their mind, it echoes in yours. It teaches you that you are more than the attention you get. You are the energy you hold. And here's the fun part. Life has a twisted sense of humor. The moment you stop chasing, the moment you start moving, building, laughing again, that's when they notice. Suddenly, the man they thought they could live without feels rare, feels untouchable, feels magnetic. But by then, something powerful has already happened. You've changed. You've realized you never needed their return to validate your existence. So, my friends, before you convince yourself that they're never coming back, pause and ask the real question. Am I coming back to myself? Because that's the only comeback that truly matters. Write this in the comments right now. I come back stronger. Type it out. Show yourself, show the world. And while you're at it, smash that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. Because what's coming next is going to flip the entire script on how you see breakups, power, and your own worth. Number 1, the illusion of forever absence. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. John Milton's words cut sharp here, my friends, because when someone walks out of your life, it's not just their absence you're dealing with, it's the prison your own mind builds around that absence. You start hearing that whisper, They're never coming back. And the more you replay it, the heavier it feels. It turns from a passing thought into a chain that shackles you day after day. Picture this. You're standing in a vast desert, and in the distance you see a mirage. That shimmer of water, that false oasis, keeps pulling you forward. You walk and walk, your lips cracking, your skin burning, desperate for that relief. But the closer you get, the more it fades. That's what your fear does. It tells you that they're gone forever, that love is dried up, that you'll never find it again. And the more you chase that thought, the more dehydrated your spirit becomes. Some of you right now are thinking, but what if it really is forever? What if they truly meant it when they left? And I'll tell you straight, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. The point is, you have no control over forever. What you do control is today. Yet what happens? Instead of living today, you're locked in tomorrow's uncertainty. Instead of using your energy to rebuild, you drain it staring at the horizon, waiting for something that may or may not appear. That's not living, that's existing in limbo. Marcus Aurelius said, "Don't let your reflection on the whole sweep of life crush you. Don't fill your mind with all the bad things that might still happen." But isn't that exactly what most men do after someone leaves? They let their mind exaggerate, dramatize, catastrophize. They don't just lose someone, they lose themselves in the story of never. My friends, never is a lie. People change, feelings shift, circumstances evolve. What feels like the end today may not feel like the end tomorrow. And yet here's the paradox. Even if they do come back, if you've wasted your whole life in waiting, you'll have nothing to offer but the ashes of your own potential. That's why believing in forever absence is dangerous. It's not just fear, it's paralysis. Think about it this way. You're at a train station, the platform is empty, and you're waiting for a train that was supposed to arrive hours ago. You keep checking the clock, pacing back and forth, scanning the rails. But no announcement comes. And here's the brutal truth. You don't even know if that train is running anymore. Yet you wait. The longer you wait, the colder you get, the hungrier you get, the more exhausted you become. That's what waiting for never does. It starves you of life. Now ask yourself, why do you believe the lie of forever absence? It's because fear loves certainty, even painful certainty. Your brain whispers, if I assume they'll never return, at least I won't be disappointed. But in doing so, you lock yourself into a future that hasn't even been written yet. You trap yourself in a cage, and here's the worst part. The door to that cage is wide open. My friends, freedom begins with this realization. They might never come back, and that's okay. Let that sink in, because the moment you accept that possibility is the moment you stop bargaining with the universe. It's the moment you reclaim your power from the hands of ghosts. Detachment doesn't mean you didn't care. It means you value yourself enough to stop waiting at an empty station. And yes, it's hard. It's supposed to be hard. Growth always is. It feels like tearing your chest open, like ripping roots out of the soil. But difficulty is not destruction, it's transformation. The pain you feel right now, that's proof that you loved deeply. But don't twist it into proof that your life ended with their exit. The truth is, if you can love them that much, you can love your own future more. Remember what Seneca said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The imagination tells you they're gone forever. Reality tells you that you still have breath in your lungs, strength in your body, potential in your hands. Don't let your imagination become your executioner. So here's what I want you to do. Stop asking, will they ever come back? Start asking, how can I come back? Come back to your purpose. Come back to your discipline. Come back to the man who existed before their shadow fell across your life. Because when you return to yourself, something powerful happens. The lie of forever loses its grip. You stop needing their return to feel alive. And here's the twist. You might find that once you stop believing the lie, life has a strange way of surprising you. Absence has weight, silence has power, and often it's only when you no longer wait at the station that people realize the train they abandoned was the only one worth boarding. But by then, you'll be different. By then, you'll be standing taller, living louder, glowing brighter. By then, whether they come back or not won't even matter, because the man you've become will never go back to waiting. So write this in the comments right now. I will not wait. Type it, show yourself, show the world, because the moment you do, you're not just declaring independence from them, you're declaring war on your own fear. And that, my friends, is the first step to becoming untouchable. Stay with me, because what's coming next is going to take you even deeper into the kind of power most men never discover. Number 2, time warps the heart. Time heals what reason cannot. Seneca left us those words, and my friends, they cut to the core of what you're wrestling with right now. Because in those quiet hours of the night, when the silence gets loud and the ache in your chest feels unbearable, you start believing that this pain is permanent. You start telling yourself, they'll never change. I'll never move on. This feeling will last forever. But let me tell you something. The mind loves to trick you in the storm. It convinces you that the way you feel today is how you'll feel for the rest of your life. And that's one of the cruelest lies you could ever believe. Think about it. How many times in your life did you swear you'd never get over something? Maybe it was your first heartbreak, maybe a friendship that fell apart, maybe a dream that collapsed. In the moment, it felt like your world shattered. But look at you now. You're still standing. You still laugh. You still breathe. You still dream. The pain that once felt endless is now just a scar, a memory, maybe even a story you tell with a little smile. That's what time does. It warps the heart. It softens what feels unbearable. It makes what feels eternal today temporary tomorrow. Imagine holding a burning coal in your hand. At first, it sears, it scorches, it makes you want to scream. But if you can withstand it, if you don't panic, if you don't throw your hand into the fire again, that coal eventually cools. The heat fades. The wound heals. That's time, my friends. It doesn't erase what happened, but it changes the intensity. It teaches you that even the fiercest flames can burn out. But here's the catch. Time only works if you let it. Too many men waste their days scratching at the wound, reopening it, scrolling through old photos, replaying old conversations, stalking their socials. That's not letting time do its work. That's fighting against healing. You can't expect the scar to form if you keep tearing it open. And I know what some of you are thinking right now, but what if they forget me as time passes? What if distance makes them stop caring altogether? That fear is real, but let's break it. Because absence doesn't erase, it magnifies. When something is no longer within reach, the mind starts replaying it with new clarity. Anger softens, sharp edges blur, and what once felt ordinary starts to feel rare. That's why silence is so powerful. That's why distance can sometimes speak louder than words ever could. Marcus Aurelius said, "Time is like a river made up of the events which happen and a violent stream, for as soon as a thing has been seen, it is carried away, and another comes in its place." The same is true for feelings. The storm that overwhelms you today will be carried downstream, and in its place, something else will rise. But if you anchor yourself to the storm, refusing to let go, you'll drown in waters that were never meant to hold you. The truth is, they may or may not come back. But if they do, it won't be because you stood still, waiting. It will be because time shifted something in them. Maybe silence gave them perspective. Maybe absence made them feel your value in ways presence never could. But here's the thing. You won't even need it anymore. Because while time warps their heart, it's also shaping yours. It's teaching you patience, resilience, detachment. It's teaching you that you don't need their return to validate your existence. So stop fearing the passage of time. Stop seeing it as the enemy. Time is not stealing from you, it's saving you. Every day you survive without begging, every day you go without chasing, every day you breathe without their presence is proof that you're stronger than you think. And with each passing day, the weight in your chest grows lighter. Slowly, quietly, you start to come back to yourself. My friends, time doesn't ask for your permission, it keeps moving. The only question is, will you move with it, or will you chain yourself to yesterday? Because the man who chains himself to the past dies with it. But the man who walks with time evolves into something his past could never hold back. So here's your affirmation for today. I trust time. I trust myself. Write it in the comments right now. Let the world see it. Let yourself see it. Let time itself see it. Because once you do, you're no longer fighting the river. You're flowing with it. And that, my friends, is when real healing begins. Stay with me, because what's coming next will show you how silence, not words, becomes the most powerful force in your life. Number 3, the mirror effect. Silence is a source of great strength. Lao Tzu left us that timeless truth. And my friends, this is where the game really changes. Because while most men panic when they're ignored, sending texts, typing paragraphs, pouring out explanations, you need to understand something deeper. Silence isn't weakness, it's reflection. And in that reflection, something powerful happens. Picture yourself standing in front of a still lake at dawn. The water is calm, untouched, perfectly clear. When you lean over it, what do you see? Your own face, not distorted, not blurred, just pure reflection. That's what your silence becomes to them. It's the mirror they can't escape. Every time they look for your reaction and find nothing, they're not staring at you, they're staring at themselves. And that, my friends, is often more haunting than any words you could ever speak. But let's be real, silence terrifies most men. You sit there thinking, if I don't explain myself, they'll misunderstand me. If I don't chase, they'll forget me. If I don't show effort, they'll think I don't care. That's the lie. That's the fear talking. And what happens when you obey that fear? You break the mirror. You rush in with explanations, with begging, with proof of your worth. But instead of clarity, you create noise. And noise never brings understanding. It only drowns it. Think about it. Have you ever stood in a hall of mirrors? Every angle, every movement, every gesture reflects back at you, multiplying until you can't tell what's real and what's illusion. That's what happens when you keep explaining yourself. You distort the picture, you lose your center, you hand over your power. But when you stand still, when you let silence speak, you give them no distortion, no illusion, no escape. They're forced to confront themselves in the quiet. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be." Be one, apply that here. Waste no more time arguing what your worth is, proving what your value is, convincing them of who you are. Just be it. Be silent, be composed, be unshaken. Let your actions, your discipline, your presence, or your absence be the proof. And here's the beautiful irony. While they're staring into that mirror of silence, wondering, doubting, even regretting, something else is happening. You're staring into it too. Your silence isn't just their reflection, it's yours. It's the moment you realize you don't need to plead to be understood. You don't need to explain yourself into acceptance. You don't need their validation to breathe. That mirror forces you to see the man you truly are, raw, independent, whole. My friends, silence is uncomfortable because it strips away illusion. When you're silent, you can't hide behind words, and neither can they. It leaves them alone with their thoughts, their memories, their mistakes. And trust me, absence weighs heavier than presence. They might not admit it, but they feel it. That empty space where your energy used to be, it echoes, It lingers. It reminds them of the value they overlooked. Now, some of you will say, but isn't silence just giving up? Isn't it walking away? No. Silence isn't surrender. It's strategy. It's the refusal to play games on their terms. It's choosing strength over desperation. It's saying, I know my worth, and if you don't, that's your burden to carry, not mine. It won't be easy. Your hands will itch to type. Your voice will ache to call. Your mind will invent 1,000 reasons why you should break the silence. But remember this. Every time you stay silent, you're training your spirit. You're proving to yourself that you're no longer a slave to fear, and that's when you shift from chasing to attracting, from begging to commanding, from being the one left behind to being the one remembered. So here's what I want you to take with you. Silence doesn't just speak to them, it heals you. It rewires your brain to understand that peace is louder than panic. It teaches you that strength isn't in constant motion, but in stillness. And it transforms your absence into the most powerful presence they'll ever feel. Write this in the comments right now. My silence is my strength. Show yourself, show the world. Because once you do, you're not just holding back words, you're holding power. And stay with me, because what's coming next will reveal why your scarcity, your refusal to be easily available, creates a gravity they can't resist. Number 4, the scarcity principle. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you. Lao Tzu's words strike harder than you might realize, my friends. Because here's the truth most men ignore. The more available you make yourself, the less valuable you seem. And the more scarce your presence becomes, the more magnetic your energy feels. That's the scarcity principle. It's as old as time, and it never fails. Picture this. You walk into a store, and on the shelf, there's one item left, just one. It doesn't even matter if you plan to buy it. You suddenly feel urgency, curiosity, maybe even desire. Why? Because scarcity creates value. Now imagine the opposite. Piles of the same thing stacked to the ceiling. You don't even look twice. You assume it will always be there. That's exactly how people treat your presence when you hand it over without boundaries. When you chase, when you explain, when you make yourself endlessly available, you're stacking yourself to the ceiling. Common, easy, replaceable. And I know what's running through some of your minds right now, but if I don't show them I care, won't they forget me? Won't they just move on? That's the fear talking. That's the lie you've been trained to believe. But here's the reality. Nobody forgets something rare. Nobody overlooks what isn't easily found. Scarcity doesn't erase you. It amplifies you. Think about diamonds. They're just stones, carbon like charcoal. But why are they valuable? Not because they exist, but because they're scarce, hard to find, hard to shape, and hard to keep. That's the frame you need to step into. Stop being charcoal, burning out quick, smudging everything around you, available in piles. Become the diamond, rare, untouchable, unshaken. That's when people take notice. Marcus Aurelius said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." The same applies here. You shouldn't fear being scarce. You should fear wasting your life proving yourself to someone who only valued you because you gave yourself away too easily. Being scarce isn't losing. It's beginning to live with boundaries, beginning to live with respect for yourself. Now let's break the lie even harder. Chasing isn't effort, it's desperation. Constant availability isn't loyalty, it's self-betrayal. Always being there, no matter how they treat you, isn't strength, it's weakness in disguise. True effort is building yourself. True loyalty is respecting your own soul. True strength is knowing you don't have to be present every second to matter. And here's the irony. They'll test it. They'll wonder why you pulled back, why your energy isn't flooding their life anymore. They'll poke. They'll prod, they'll try to pull you back into constant availability. But hold firm, because the moment they feel that scarcity, the moment they realize your presence isn't guaranteed, that's when their curiosity wakes up. That's when your absence becomes louder than your presence ever was. It won't be easy. You'll feel the itch to text, the urge to call, the fear of being forgotten. But remind yourself, every time you hold back, every time you resist, you're training your worth. You're showing the world and yourself that you are not common. And what is rare always commands attention, even if it takes time. My friends, the scarcity principle isn't about playing games. It's about alignment. You're not withholding to punish. You're not pulling back to manipulate. You're choosing to live a life where your time, your energy, your love are precious currencies. You're saying, if you want access to me, you need to earn it. If you want my energy, you need to respect it. If you want my presence, you better recognize its value. So, let me leave you with this. Your worth was never in your availability. It was always in your uniqueness. Stop drowning them in your presence and let your scarcity create gravity. Let them feel the emptiness you leave behind. Let them recognize that losing you is not something they can easily replace. Write this in the comments right now. I am rare. Type it. Show yourself. Show the world. Because the moment you believe it, the moment you embody it, the scarcity principle stops being a trick. It becomes your truth. And stay with me, because next we'll dive into something even deeper. Why emotional detachment doesn't mean denial, but the ultimate freedom that makes you untouchable. Number 5. Emotional detachment equals magnetic energy. He who is brave is free. Those words from Seneca hold a power most men overlook. Because let's be honest, my friends, when you hear the word detachment, some of you flinch. You think it means becoming cold, shutting down, pretending you never cared. But that's not detachment, that's denial. Detachment isn't about building walls, it's about cutting chains. It's not pretending you never loved, it's realizing that love does not mean dependency. And when you finally get that, something remarkable happens. Your energy shifts. You stop radiating neediness and you start radiating freedom. And freedom, my friends, is magnetic. Let's paint a picture. Imagine you're holding a balloon, gripping it tight, knuckles white, terrified to let it go. The harder you squeeze, the more the air presses against your fingers until finally it slips away. That's what most men do with relationships. They grip, they cling, they suffocate, believing that by holding tighter, they'll keep someone close. But the truth, that desperate grasp only pushes them further away. Detachment, on the other hand, is opening your hand and letting the balloon float. You don't destroy it, you don't deny it, you just release the need to control it. That's when your energy becomes light, unburdened, untouchable. But here's where fear kicks in. You ask yourself, if I detach, doesn't that mean I'll lose them? Doesn't it mean they'll think I don't care? That's the lie. Detachment doesn't erase care, it protects it. It says, I cared for you, but I care for me more. It's not the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of it. And let me tell you, people can feel that. They can feel when you're no longer drowning in attachment. They can feel when you're grounded, when your presence doesn't scream, please don't leave me. That's when you start to draw them in, not by force, but by gravity. Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's the essence of detachment. You stop wasting energy on what's outside your control, their choices, their moods, their silence, and you redirect it inward to the only battlefield you can actually win, your own mind. That's where your true freedom lies. Think about magnets. If you force one against another, pushing desperately, they resist. But when aligned, they pull together naturally. That's how energy works in relationships. Desperation repels. Detachment attracts. The less you need, the more powerful your presence feels. The less you beg, the more valuable your silence becomes. The less you cling, the more curious they grow about why you're not chasing like everyone else. That's the paradox. The moment you stop needing them, they start noticing you. And yes, detachment is difficult at first. It feels like stepping off a cliff without knowing if you'll land. Your mind will scream at you, but what if they forget me? What if this is the final goodbye? But ask yourself, what's the alternative? Keep clinging, keep begging, keep reducing yourself into a shadow of who you really are. That's not love. That's fear wearing a mask. True love cannot exist where fear runs the show. My friends, detachment isn't about walking away from love. It's about walking back to yourself. It's about smiling at the memories without letting them chain your future. It's about saying, yes, I wanted them, but no, I don't need them to complete me. That kind of energy is rare. That kind of energy is unshakable. And that kind of energy, mark my words, becomes magnetic. So stop confusing detachment with indifference. Indifference is numbness. Detachment is freedom. Indifference says, I don't feel. Detachment says, I feel deeply, but I will not be controlled by my feelings. That's strength. That's courage. And that's exactly why people who master detachment often find themselves drawing others in without even trying. Here's your affirmation for today. I release to rise. Write it in the comments right now. Show yourself. Show the world. Because once you release the chains of attachment, you don't just rise, you shine. And stay with me, because what comes next will take this even further. How rebuilding yourself into a man they cannot replace changes the game forever. Number 6, rebuilding the man they can't replace. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Epictetus said that, and my friends, it hits right where it matters. Because here's the truth, the version of you they left behind is not the final version of you. That was a draft, a chapter, not the whole book. And yet too many men sit in the ashes of who they were, mourning instead of molding, waiting instead of working. But listen carefully. The moment you start rebuilding is the moment you become the man they cannot replace. Picture this. You're looking at a piece of clay on a potter's wheel. At first it's shapeless, rough, even ugly. But in the right hands, with steady pressure, that clay transforms into something purposeful, something strong, something beautiful. That clay, my friends, is you. If they left, they saw you mid-process. They didn't see the finished design. They walked away when you were still soft, still forming. And instead of chasing them, your job now is to get back on that wheel and start shaping yourself into something undeniable. But here's the lie you've been sold. If I improve myself, maybe they'll come back. Wrong. Don't you dare rebuild yourself just to be noticed. That's not growth, that's performance. Real rebuilding isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about standing in front of the mirror and saying, this is who I always knew I could be. And when you rebuild from that place, not revenge, not desperation, but purpose, you become unforgettable. Think about it this way. Have you ever walked back into a room years later and noticed something completely different about it? The paint, the furniture, the atmosphere. It's not what you remember. That's what happens when they look at you after you've rebuilt. The man they thought they knew, the man they thought they could walk away from, he doesn't exist anymore. In his place is someone stronger, sharper, more disciplined. That's when absence turns into regret. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. That's your blueprint. Stop arguing with yourself about why they left. Stop replaying what you should have done. Stop imagining what might have happened. Be the man now. Be disciplined in your habits. Be intentional in your growth. Be relentless in your purpose. That's how you transform, not with words, but with action. Now let's get brutally honest. It won't be easy. Rebuilding means breaking routines that kept you weak. It means rejecting excuses you've leaned on for years. It means facing yourself without distractions. And that's why most men don't do it. They settle. They say, "This is who I am. This is all I can be, but not you." Not if you're listening right now, because the truth is, every moment you choose discipline over distraction, every time you choose purpose over pain, every day you push further, you're stacking bricks. You're building something no one can knock down. And here's the beauty. This isn't about her anymore. It's about you. The body you build, the skills you learn, the business you create, the habits you master. Those aren't gifts to win someone back. Those are investments in the man you're becoming. And when you finally stand tall in that new version of yourself, you'll realize something powerful. You don't even want to go back. Because why return to being clay when you've become stone? My friends, rebuilding is the most attractive thing you'll ever do, not because it guarantees their return, but because it guarantees yours. Your return to self-respect, your return to strength, your return to the life you were meant to live. And when you reach that place, you'll stop asking, will they come back? Instead, you'll be asking, do they even deserve to? So here's your affirmation today. I rebuild, I rise. Write it in the comments right now. Let the world see it. Let yourself see it. Because once you declare it, you're no longer waiting. You're working. And stay with me, because what's coming next is even more liberating. How finding closure without contact frees you from chains you didn't even realize you were dragging. Number 7. Closure without contact. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus gave us that reminder, and my friends, it's never been more important than right now. Because when someone leaves your life, what's the first thing you crave? Closure. You want the explanation, the apology, the recognition. You want them to sit down and spell out every detail of why they walked away, what they felt, what they regret. You think if you can just get that conversation, you'll finally sleep at night. But here's the hard truth. Closure isn't something they give you. Closure is something you create. Think of it like waiting for a thief to return what they stole. You sit there staring at the door, hoping they'll walk back in with your peace of mind, neatly wrapped up with a bow. But thieves don't come back. They don't return what they took. And every day you wait, you give them more power over your present. That's what happens when you expect closure from someone who broke you. You're handing them the pen to write your final chapter, when in reality, that pen belongs in your hand. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but if I don't get answers, how will I ever move on? How will I know what went wrong? That's the lie. Because deep down, you already know what went wrong. You know how they pulled away. You know the ways you bent until you broke. You know the moments you ignored your own worth just to keep them close. You don't need their confirmation to validate your truth. What you're really searching for isn't answers. It's permission. Permission to let go. But let me break it to you. You don't need their permission to move forward. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Apply that here. If it wasn't right for them to leave without clarity, then why are you waiting for their words to set you free? If their truth was silence, then accept it for what it is, an answer in itself. Silence is often louder than words, and their absence has already told you the story you're trying to force them to read out loud. Imagine holding a book in your hands. You're obsessed with one chapter, rereading it, analyzing every word, desperate for a different ending. But the author has already moved on. The ink is dry. The only way to know how the story continues is to turn the page yourself. That's closure, not rewriting their chapter, but refusing to get stuck in it. But here's why it feels so hard. Closure without contact requires strength most men don't think they have. It means letting go without the applause. It means forgiving without hearing, "I'm sorry." It means walking forward without the map you begged for, and that's terrifying. But it's also liberating, because when you stop waiting on them, you realize something. Your freedom was never in their hands. It was always in yours. And here's the twist. When you create your own closure, when you decide, "This is done. This no longer defines me," something powerful happens. Their grip on your heart fades. Their shadow loses shape, and the energy you wasted on waiting becomes fuel for building. That's when the chains fall off. That's when you stop being the prisoner of someone else's choices and start being the author of your own destiny. My friends, closure isn't a door they close for you. It's a door you walk through on your own, and when you do, you don't just heal, you evolve. You become the kind of man who doesn't beg for explanations, who doesn't crave apologies, who doesn't hand his peace to someone else. You become untouchable. So here's your affirmation: I choose my closure. Write it in the comments right now. Let it be the line in the sand, the declaration to yourself and the world that you're done waiting. Because once you choose your closure, you unlock your future. And stay with me, because what's coming next is the ultimate shift. What happens when they return and find that you're no longer the man they left behind? Number 8. If they return, you're different. No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he's not the same man. Epictetus spoke those words centuries ago, and my friends, they strike at the very heart of this final truth. If they ever return, they won't be returning to the man they left. Because that man, the one who begged, who chased, who waited at the station for a train that never came, he's gone. You've rebuilt. You've risen. You've transformed. Picture a blacksmith forging steel, the fire, the hammer, the pressure. It changes the raw metal into something unbreakable. That's you now. Their leaving was the fire. Your silence was the hammer. Your discipline was the pressure. And out of that heat, a different man emerged. Stronger, sharper, untouchable. So if they walk back into your life, they'll find a stranger, a man they cannot toy with, a man they cannot replace, a man who doesn't need them but chooses himself first. And here's the irony. They may not admit it, but they'll feel it. They'll sense the difference in your energy, the power in your silence, the confidence in your presence. They'll remember the version of you who gave too much, and they'll see the version of you who finally realized his worth. And at that moment, my friends, the tables turn. Because it won't be about, will they come back? It will be about, do I even want them back? That's the beauty of this journey. Whether they return or not no longer defines you. What defines you is the man you've become along the way. The one who chose growth over waiting, silence over begging, self-respect over fear. That's the man who wins, not because he got them back, but because he got himself back. So write this in the comments right now. I come back stronger. Let the world see it. Let yourself see it. Because that's the comeback that really matters. And if this message hit you, if it opened your eyes, do me one thing. Smash that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. My friends, your story isn't over. It's just beginning. And the man you're becoming, he's unstoppable.